Hello everyone, Alcazar here, and today we're back in business with Pokemon Pisces. Last time we conquered the Psychic Gym, and today we're gonna move on onto Steven's house, where we are challenged to reach the end of the house, which right away it turns the lights off and we are sent into a giant maze. While trying to reach the exit, I realized this is not gonna be an easy challenge, as it is basically a secondary gym for this town, and our first encounter is not too far away from the entrance. We are faced against a mysterious opponent who throws a sprite to face against our left lane. We start with a couple of Fury Cutters, but he counterattacks us with Fear Factor, which it seems to be basically a magnitude but for ghost types. After taking the hit like a champ, we change into a Snellfriend, who once more takes on the job of carrying our team to victory. However, he ended up being in a state of panic, which in this game is a status that doesn't go away even after the battle has ended, and I'm not sure what it does, but this cannot be good. The experience in this battle, however, helps us a lot as Snellfriend finally evolves into Cyclopod. Further down the maze, we fought our second trainer who sent an Umbrat against us. Now we sap out our Cyclopod as he is weak against the flying moves from the Umbrat. We decide to send in Quillwart and start attacking with rollouts who not only take out the Umbrat but also the enemy Blota. The enemies in this house seem to give a lot of experience, as we are also able to evolve Quillwart into his next form, Cyndaquil's cousin, Bonfu. After some more exploring, I found a Pokédoll that says it could help me escape any wild encounter. At the time I didn't think much about it, but this is something that's gonna be really useful later on. One more encounter, but this time the enemy throws at us a Matchlit, which seems to be a Ghostfire type, so we go ahead and send Trialir, who whirlpools over and over. However, this thing keeps using Wish to heal itself back to full health, and I thought that was the hardest part of this battle, but oh boy, I had no idea what was coming. This Misdreavus that comes afterwards, you see right now, is simply a beast. It starts taking out 1, 2, 3 Pokemon like it's nothing. However, our Muda was able to weaken this Misdreavus enough for our cutie to be able to come out and finish the job. After some quick heals and revives, we press on into the deepest part of this maze, and this time we have to fight against a Transera, who looks like a combination of a Tangela and a Chinchou. Thankfully for us, that's his last Pokemon, and we are able now to continue up until the end, where Steven then proceeds to explain to us how the panic status works, and it turns out not only makes us take more damage from ghost types, but also makes us do less damage ourselves from our moves, and on top of that we use twice the PP for every move we try to make. Here is where he also tells us that the Pokédoll we found earlier is not actually a doll at all or an item. It's actually the Pokemon Eeriko, which has taken a liking to us and now wants to be part of the team. This Pokemon has a great typing and attacks, so we immediately switch it into our team. Our adventure continues and we try to reach the next town. On our way there, we pick up a revive and have yet another strange encounter with these egg-like creatures that appear of the world. Further down that road, we reach the egg enthusiast's house, when we are informed that there is not one, but apparently multiple egg creatures called Enigmas, who steal eggs from trainers and Pokemon alike. They are apparently a menace in this region, so the housekeeper asks us to let her know once they are being taken care of. Right outside the house, we start exploring the tall grass in search of new Pokemon, and we actually managed to capture a Ladian, a Spoink, a Ladybug, and a Zigzagoon. We then fight the Berwatch trainer, who happens to have one of the coolest bear Pokemon designs of all time, a Dracular, which is totally based on the vampire finches from the Galapagos, because nature is metal as that. Right after that, we also fight Pokemaniac Gunther, who has a smaller version of the Enigmas. We've seen all this time called a one egg, and we find out the hardest way possible that these creatures are actually a dragon type, and by the hardest way I mean being hit by a dragon breath right in our faces. Luckily for us, we already had a rollout going on which takes care of it, along with the Fire Fruit and the Wild Fruit of our opponent. And right before leaving this route, we encounter a Retro Roach, which I'm honestly just gonna capture for the Pokédex entry, as I'm usually not a fan of roaches. Now, at this point we find a small house in the middle of nowhere, and what do you know, inside we find our old friend the Sad Fisher, who battles us with an upgrade for our fishing rod on the line. Nevertheless, once more he has used 6 level 1 Satsots, which we quickly get rid of with our left leg electric attacks. We then proceed to go fishing with our new rod to see what the ocean has to offer us now, and soon enough we proceed to capture a shark guy, and with experience from capturing him we are able to evolve our leaf blade into a shock core. Further down the road we capture a Cofiddle, who tries to unalive himself before we even throw our first Pokeball at him, but nothing that a first turn Super Ball cannot handle. We then proceed to walk into a hostage situation where the one giving the orders is the dog. The fight starts and I send out my recently evolved shock core, and after a first super effective hit it barely does a scratch on it, and that's when I know we're in for big trouble. He does an avalanche that almost takes us out, so I swap out into Bonfu and try to flame charge him, but once more it barely so much as dent his HP, and now this is where it sinks in. Dog is nothing but an anagram for God, as he unleashes all of his fury on us, taking out Muda, then Shock Core, Cyclopod, and even almost our main guy Tridalier. Thankfully, we're able to finally defeat this John Wick of a Pokemon and save the man that was being held hostage. Now, after all of this, it turns out that my video file was corrupted and I lost the rest of the footage, where we kept clearing out the beach from this gang and made it to the city and pretty much managed to do everything that was to do in there. I know it's kinda annoying, but sometimes it just is what it is. After trying a bunch of different things, this is all the footage I was able to save. But for now, this is gonna be this week's video. I hope you enjoy it, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe, as it does really help out with the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Bye bye!